All followers of Jesus want to finish well. All sincere followers of Jesus, we want to finish well. But there are three life transitions that we have to wisely navigate to actually do that. I call these seasons. Sometimes they're called zones. And many Christians are not aware of these three life transitions. And these are where they often get stuck, or they stall out, or sometimes they actually drop out. So knowing them is really important for your spiritual journey. It's also the reason that many Christians, I would say sometimes, because they've hit one of these seasons and they're not navigating through it properly, it's where they can get frustrated or very discouraged or very disappointed in their spiritual journey. So in this video, I'm going to explain what those three seasons are, help you to discern if you're in one of them, and then give you some ideas on how to properly navigate one of these seasons so you can stay on the right track to ultimately finish well. So the first transition, the first season, I call it the caution zone. And the caution zone is when the wheels are still on our life, but they're really starting to wobble. We can just feel that something is off, something is in alignment. We're still showing up, we're still functioning, we're still doing the work. Externally, things may look fine, but on the inside, we're extremely tired. No amount of sleep will kind of remedy it. We feel hurried and busy and behind all the time. Our output, what we have to give to the world, our roles or external output, there's a growing gap between what we're giving and what our inner world is like. And we really have a sense, this is really important, that how we are currently doing life and or leadership, it just isn't sustainable. This can't continue. So that's what I call the caution zone. And here's why this zone is important in our journey of finishing well, is because the caution zone is what it sounds like. It's a warning sign. It doesn't come necessarily shouting at us, but it's a subtle way to say, hey, there's something happening that we need to pay attention to. Because if we don't, again, we may not navigate the caution zone well, and it can lead us in a direction, and does lead many followers of Jesus in a direction they don't want to go. So here's some ways that people get stuck during their caution zone. Number one is they run past it. They just keep grinding it out. They just say, maybe it'll change. They don't slow down long enough, and they simply push through it. They try to suppress the warning signals. That's a bad thing to do. Number two is we don't get honest about what's not working. We don't stop long enough and just say, this area of my life, it just isn't working. I've tried it. I'm trying really hard. I'm on the doom loop. I keep doing it. I'm still pedaling. I'm on the treadmill. But this part of my life just isn't working. The third thing that I would say where people get stuck in the caution zone is that they convince themselves they can walk through it on their own. They don't invite someone else who's mature, who has other eyes, who could be an advice, can be a sounding board, to help them figure out why they're in this caution zone. What is it they're feeling? Why does something feel off? So they need to do that. And then the last thing is they don't wait. They don't take steps. They simply, again, grind it out and think everything is going to be fine with them. But they really do need to be honest and have honest assessment with what's working and with what's not working. So those are some of the signs and some of the ways we get stuck in this caution zone. It's a very important season in our journey toward ultimately finishing well. So what are some of the ways that we can wisely navigate through them? Let me give you about 3 or 4. Number one, I would encourage you, if you're possibly in this season, to slow down so you can evaluate really what is going on. Don't just keep going. Don't just run past it. Don't just suppress it, but really slow down long enough to figure out what's happening. Second thing you need to do then is to have honest assessment. What's working in your life right now and what isn't working in your life right now? Where are you showing signs of mental stress, emotional stress? Where's your health declining? Where are your relationships starting to fray? What areas is not working, and you know if you don't adjust to it, it probably isn't sustainable and could get worse instead of getting better. And then the third thing I think you can really do and encourage you to do is to invite someone in the process with you. What can they do to help you, to guide you, to be a sounding board to you, to be a separate set of eyes for you, to help you to walk through this caution zone? And then the last thing I would encourage you to do is don't wait. Again, many people just they whistle through this caution zone. They think it's going to go away. It's going to get better. They don't slow down. They continue to grind. I would encourage you, don't wait. Take the steps of adjustment and reorientation that's needed in your life now, even if they're small ones. Small ones can build momentum, but take some basic small steps toward the adjustment so you can bring alignment, recalibration in this caution zone and simply not run through it. So that's the first season. It's extremely important. The caution zone. Take the warning, slow down, assess what's working and what's not working. Take what action steps you need to do to wisely navigate this season or this caution zone in your life. Now, here's the second season, the second significant life transition. It's what I would call the crisis season or the crisis zone. This is a season that's more obvious. We know when we're in crisis. Usually something has been broken in our lives or something has been lost in our life. It can be the loss through the death of a spouse, the loss through the death of a child, the loss of a parent, a deep, deep betrayal from a close, close friend, maybe a diagnosis that could be terminal, maybe something's been taken away from you, but you know you're in a season of crisis. That's the second season to navigate. Many navigate it well, some do not. And here's why this season is so important. It is the greatest season for a follower of Jesus to get stuck and not ultimately finish well. I say not only get stuck, but actually get deformed. We get in a season of life where it shapes us in a way that we don't want to be shaped. But the other reason this season is so important is just the opposite. Crisis seasons are some of the greatest seasons for our own shaping and for our own transformation. I say it this way: God uses crisis to do his deepest and most beautiful work in us if we'll allow him to. Here's the way people often get stuck in their crisis zone. First of all, they isolate themselves. They build their own cocoon and they actually stay there, and they can often get stuck. I understand why. We want security. We want to get away from it all. But isolating ourselves during crisis can be one of the worst things we can do because it can make it worse instead of helping us process through it. The second thing that often happens is just the opposite. Is a person in crisis, they run to fix everything. They move into activity and busyness. Why? So they don't have to deal with the pain. Again, I understand that as well. And the third thing that they often do is they end up allowing the crisis to now define totally who they are. Well, I guess I'm just a widower who lost my wife in a car accident, or I guess I'm a mom who lost my son to suicide, or I guess I'm now a older adult who is now single and lost my spouse, through a divorce, whatever it would be. And so we begin to identify ourselves by that crisis. But here's some ways to wisely be able to navigate through it. Let me give you 3 or 4 on how you can navigate this crisis zone so you don't get stuck, so you don't stall out, so you don't check out, but you can actually walk and process through it. Let me give you 3 or 4. Number 1, give yourself permission to grieve. The loss, the brokenness, it needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be validated. But don't get stuck in your grief, but give yourself permission to grieve. Number 2, let someone walk with you. Don't isolate yourself, but find the right person or persons who can possibly identify with your pain. They understand crisis and maybe even your specific crisis, so they can walk with you, not to come and fix you, not to be your cheerleader, not to give you a little sermonette, but to simply be present with you, so you have someone who can guide you, who can listen to you, who can be an anchor for you in the middle of the storm. So find someone to walk with. And then the third thing in crisis, this is very, very important. Let God do his healing and his shaping work in you. Surrender to the season. I'm in this crisis. You probably had nothing to do with it, but you're now here. So say, God, since I got to walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I want to respond to you and allow you to use this season in my life to bring greater healing in my life and a greater shaping in my life. So if you are in a crisis season, don't isolate. Don't try to fix it all. Don't try to run through it. Embrace it for what it is. Wisely walk through it. And I guarantee you it could be one of the greatest shaping seasons in your life. That's the life transition through crisis. Now, here's the third season or significant life transition. I call it the convergence zone. And convergence is when there's a growing sense that something new and exciting is next for you. You're not sure what it is. You're not sure how to get there, but there's a growing stirring and you begin to see the signs. And there's an anticipation of something next. Convergence is the idea when our early formation of life, our primary top gifts, what we're really good at, our life passions, the passions that really drive us, how we're wired, that would be our temperament, and then many of the life-shaping experience, that we've gone through that have had an imprint on life, all those things start to come together. They align, they converge. That's the idea of convergence. And they start to lead us to our next season or greater clarity of our sweet spot. So that's what's called convergence. It's a very exciting time. But here's why this season is important. It doesn't just happen. Convergence has tremendous potential, but it has to be apprehended by being intentional. And so you have to be willing to get some clarity. What is that next? How do I figure that out? It won't just come to me. And then you have to have some courage. It takes risk. It takes faith. It takes action. It takes kind of rolling the dice again in your life, really to move into that direction. So that's what convergence is. That's why it's important. But here's where many people get stuck. And again, I've guided many people through their convergence zone, and where they get stuck either in the convergence zone or never actually move into it. Let me give you 3 or 4 to consider. Number 1, they overthink it and they start to second guess everything. So they know there's a window open, but they think, is it this? Should I do this? Is this my convergence? Should I move in this direction? No, maybe I should move in this direction. If I move in this direction, what's going to happen here? Should I invest here? Do I have the time to invest here? Do I have the money to invest here? And they really start to overthink everything, and it locks them up. It paralyzes them in even actually moving forward. The second thing that happens is they wait too long. Convergence is an open window. It has some momentum behind you. You can feel the wind blowing you. There's an anticipation. There's a leaning forward into what that may be. But you can't wait too long. You can't just wait, well, I'll see what happens in 6 months. I'll see where I'm at in a year. You actually have to move into it. So you don't want to wait too long. You'll get stuck if you do that. And the third thing is, again, I've seen this happen a lot, is that people don't move into the convergence because they decide to stay in their comfort zone. Because again, all conversion takes intentionality. It takes action. It takes risk. It takes involvement. It takes investment. And sometimes we just decide, oh, I don't think so. That's too much work. I'm going to stay exactly where I'm at. I'm going to keep the status quo going. I'm kind of comfortable, and I'm just going to stay where it's at. So you can really get stuck and not even move into convergence, or you can put a foot into convergence but not move through it and get stuck in those ways. So let me give you ways to wisely navigate through convergence. I'll give you 4, and I kind of call them the 4 C's. They're essential as I've coached and guided many people through the convergence zone. And the first one is clarity. You have to take the time and you have to take the process to figure out, what is that next? What is that target on the wall? What should I be leaning toward? What is that open window or open door for me, and move in that direction? And I help people with that, some ways to really to see that in their own life so they get real clarity. Number 2, then it takes courage. And I know I've already said it, but this is the area where many people, they bog down in convergence. They decide to not take the risk. They decide to not take the action. They decide to not take the next step of faith and move in that direction. So it will take courage. It will take rolling the dice again, believing this is part of your life, taking the next step so you can ultimately finish well and move in that direction. The third thing I say then is you need a coach, or at least a fellow companion. But you need a guide or a coach who knows the terrain. They've already been through convergence. They know what it's like. They know where the landmines are at. They know where to stop and realign. They know where to invest so you can move forward. So you really want to walk with somebody who's already been there that can take you through the convergence so you can get to the place where you're supposed to get. And then the last thing you need a clear plan. So clarity, you need courage, you need a coach or a fellow companion to walk with you, and then you need a clear plan. Now, the clear plan usually isn't from A to Z. It's not all 10 steps, but it's at least the first 1, 2, and 3, so you can take action. You know where you're going, and you're taking the next steps to get there. So that's the convergence zone. The thing about convergence and convergence season, for many people, it becomes the most fruitful and fulfilling season in their life. I moved in my convergence several years ago, moved through it, and I've been living out of the sweet spot of my life with what I'm doing. So please don't get stuck in your caution zone and blow off the warning signs. Please don't get stuck in a crisis season. Let God do his work in you. And please don't get stuck or stall out just before your convergence season or your convergence zone, because it will lead you to the most fruitful season in your life. If you wisely navigate these 3 transitions, you'll continue to be on the right track to ultimately finish well, which we all want to do. So if this resonates with you, maybe you're in one of these 3 and you're aware of it, here's what I would encourage you to do. Don't stop here. Watch this video, which really talks about the 2 motivations we have to navigate these life transitions so that we can ultimately finish well. Also, let's stay on the conversation. I further talk about all 3 of these things. I unpackage the caution zone in more depth. The crisis zone, I walk with people through that and help people move through the convergence zone. So let's not stop with just this video. It's kind of introductory. Move more deeply into this. And if I can help you, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll get all this material. You can walk through it based upon the season you're in. And let's together wisely navigate defining moments. All 3 of these are, so we can ultimately emerge with greater strength in our life, greater clarity of where we're going, and a renewed hope and purpose for our life as we ultimately stay on track to finish well. Thanks. Now,